Hello, how you doing? Oh, that's loud. All right. So my name is Stephen Todd. I'm Global Head of Workplace at NASDAQ, and I'm also the founder of Open Source Workplace. And so what I want to talk to you about today is I want to challenge you. I want you to think about workplace in a different way. I want you to think about workplace in how you would present a business case to a CFO or CEO. So in essence, think about what you would need and how you would present that information, and then we're going to get to optimizing productivity. So the way I sort of position this, and I'm a finance background. I spent 15 years working in finance. Everything we did investment appraisal. Every time we did a business case, that was what were the inputs and what's the output. All a CEO or CFO are interested in is what is that profitability? Is it, going back to what was said before, what is that net present value? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it positive? Okay, let's go and do it. So how would you then position that if you wanted to think about workplace? What are the attributes? What are the inputs that drive the outputs when we consider workplace? And how do we sort of position, how do we think about that? So in 2014, when I got into real estate, these are the questions that were going through my head. How do we actually get together? How do we present information that allows people to make those decisions? And these are some of the questions that sort of were flowing through my head. What makes employees productive? What features of an office actually drive bottom line? We all have a perception that giving everyone great coffee drives productivity, but actually can we tangibly track that to actually display that actually helps the profitability of an organization? Do employee engagement scores actually move the bottom line? We aspire to improve them every year, but actually does it really materially make a difference? Anecdotally, we think it does, but we don't have any scientific proof behind it. How does capital investment in real estate improve profitability? So whenever we're presenting a business case, how do we actually know that we're going to drive profitability? Real estate is an expense sucker, right? You have to pay for that. So years later, you hope you gain benefits from it. So how do we put that narrative ahead of time, and how do we work that out? And does an employee commute impact profitability? And this is just the way my brain works. I just think along those different lines, is it actually a benefit, or does it actually hurt if employees have to travel further? So that's sort of where this lays. So as I thought about this, how do you even start to think about getting the data to answer some of these questions? And so again, going through that concept, inputs and outputs, right? So what are the inputs that we could collect that actually would help us address some of that information? So yes, we've got the usual suspects of real estate, human resources, but again, bringing in that corporate financial information. Where's the sales revenue coming from per location? What is the expense associated with every single office across the organization? What is the product profitability of every product that we produce as an organization, and what location are they associated with? Whenever you marry that with real estate, with employee turnover, with other aspects of some of the other data points, then you can sort of start to see pictures evolving and actually conclusions being able to get to. So again, other internal data. So what are the marketing KPIs? What are the sales KPIs? How can we bring that together into one data set to help funnel some outputs and some conversations? And external data. So where is the access to talent in all the locations that we operate in, right? How many, if you've got sales associates, does it actually impact them for the actual amount of people they're connected to on LinkedIn? Is there a direct correlation? I don't know, but again, these are some of the ways that how our brains are sort of working. And obviously the whole point of this is to drive outputs. So to try and picture this a little bit more, I put together a little scenario. So, you're a sales manager, you've just got given this initiative, we've built these new widgets, you got to go and sell it. So how do we sort of package these data sets to help the sales manager, one, pick the right location where he wants to put all these people, and how does he present that business case? Again, thinking about the CFO and the CEO, how he wants to present or she wants to present that information. So what if we were able to pull all this information together? What is the average cost of employees of everywhere that we operate? Right? What is the occupancy cost associated with all those various locations? What are the employee engagement scores? What is the real estate score for all those various locations? What are the utilization rates, the staff turnover, the commute times, access to local talent? What actually is the cost of that local talent that we want to grow? What is the sales revenue by office? What is the talent, as I said, are the distance to a direct supervisor? So how many time zones away is your direct supervisor, and how does that impact the sales potential of whatever office? So can you imagine a sales manager sitting down with their HR business partner, and this is all the information that they have at hand? How much smarter and how much better decisions can that sales manager actually make when he then goes to take, or she goes to take, the business case to the CEO or the CFO? It's a lot more substantiated. There's a lot of data behind it. Year two, whenever they're coming back to evaluate, they then come back and track and index against, okay, these are the reasons why we made the decision. Was the outcome as expected? So when we go through and we collect this data, we always go aspire to get more data. And part of that, one of the things we have to do is always ask ourselves, what is the ROI on this data? What is the cost to actually get it? And if we get the information, will it actually make a difference to the decision? So today, you know, we talk about, we can actually look at security badge data and we get utilization rates. Well, then if you have that utilization rates, and we all know it's usually around 60%, if the management isn't going to make a decision or change the decision on that information, why pay for it actually for a desk utilization study, because they're hardly going to change their mind later. So this, how do you evaluate what actually should be taken? So part of this is we go back to the last question, or the sort of one of the questions we had up on the board. How do we actually engage with the CEO and CFO to actually allow them to make decisions, and how do we present information to them to make decisions? And one of the things we did at NASDAQ was we tried to tackle the question that was up there, what is workplace productivity, what is employees productivity, and what does that look like? And we actually went out to our employees and we asked them, we provided 35 attributes of an office and asked them, which of these attributes makes you productive? And over half our employees responded, and this is what we ended up with. So this is our true north in everything that we do and how we look at and evaluate what we have to do in real estate. When we're designing a new office, this is where we go to. This information is, we can look at it by every location. The actual productivity factors change by location. So whenever we actually assess what we need to do, we go back to this, the attributes, and we look, and those are what we benchmark against, and we actually put that forward. So we have these attributes. Each year we ask the employees, how do we rate against each of these attributes? And what is the opportunity we have to improve an employee experience at every single office? It also helps us whenever we come to make those capital investment decisions. We're able to display this information. We're able to display the feedback we get from employees, and here's the investment we want to make. And we're now in a cycle where actually we're able to go back and validate, actually, here's where we invested the money, and this is the impact it actually had on the employee experience and how they've rated their real estate portfolio. So as I said, my background's finance. I come at this in a slightly different way, and my brain's a little complicated. Yes, it is. But in essence, that's how I try to look at this stuff, and that's sort of, I want to challenge the team, and I hope you've taken a little bit away from what we've said and how you sort of present data and information to the CEOs and CFOs. So thank you.